All right, thanks for that. Okay, I'm Jakob Marsico. I run Ultra Low Res Studio, and I'm going to talk about interactive architecture, but really how we can create experiential spaces using architectural lighting. And spaces particularly that are kind of data-driven, but also thoughtful and subtle. So to start, we'll talk about the technology that we already have at our fingertips. And we see it all over the architectural lighting world, and that is kind of color-changing, individually controllable RGB lights. And those lights usually work in the same way, and that is there's a central controller, and that controller has several timelines stored on it. And one timeline might be flash all of the lights black and gold, and the trigger that would trigger that timeline might be Steelers score a touchdown. So Steelers score and the lights flash black and gold. And there are all sorts of implementations, but a lot of the implementations tend to look very similar. And that's okay. You know, this is informational. This lighting can be informational, but it's also obtrusive, and it often feels like it's painted on the building. It's an addition or an afterthought to the original design of the building. But we try to do things a bit differently. Rather than kind of rainbows, we try to make lighting using that same technology to create patterns that are more like this, kind of more natural feeling, something that is a bit more calming, more subtle, and again, more thoughtful. And we do this in several different ways. We use a lot of computation. We use a lot of sensor data. We write our own software, and sometimes we make our own hardware to do it. But the point is, we design these things to be kind of slow-moving, calming, and thoughtful. So the first thing I want to show you is a pattern that is based on real information. It's based on real streaming data. What you see here are a series of lights going through space. It looks like it's natural. Maybe we took it from, you know, animals moving through a forest, but in fact, this is a natural pattern that we as humans make all the time. That lighting is coming directly from a live video feed of an interstate in Maryland. We make that beautiful pattern all the time from something like this. And that beautiful pattern is not just beautiful, but it's informational, it's informative. We could look at that pattern and say, you know what? The traffic is flowing very smoothly on, what was that, 895 in Maryland. So here's what we do. We take in data. And when I say data, I mean several different things. It can be weather. It can be weather from the internet. It can be weather from a weather station. It can be video. It could be occupancy. We could be watching all of the people in this room right now and developing a lighting pattern that is reacting to the movements of people in this room. So what we do is we take live data that is dynamic, it's nuanced, it's rich, it's always moving. We run it through custom software. We put it back out into the world in a way that is just as nuanced, rich, and always changing. First project I'm going to show you is the Row House Marquee. This is in Lawrenceville. Next time you're there, go check it out. It's a great place. Don't slow me down. And it's this experiential entranceway, right? You walk in, and there are 250 lights overhead. And as you walk in, this video would show you that those lights follow you as you walk under this place, right? And we do that by having a video camera that faces down, and it takes video in, it manipulates that video, and it passes it back out through the lights. Another project uses switchable glass. So instead of creating light, we're manipulating ambient light. But we're also using data feeds. In this instance, we're using Twitter. We're using a Twitter feed. People can tweet to this small sculpture that was designed to fit in a window, and they tweet a keyword, and anytime anybody in the world tweets that keyword, let's say design, this thing kind of flutters across the sculpture. And the idea was for this to be integrated into existing architecture, not as an afterthought, not as a way of flexing technology, but a way of just kind of embedding data into the space. Another project which you might not be able to see because of the contrast, I apologize, but This project was done with a biologic design group 2 years ago, and it was for a mall in Miami. The idea was that we could use kind of a physical facade treatment. What you can't see is there are a bunch of small fiberglass petals that are kind of undulating in and out like this, but very slowly. And we used this physical display to display the amount of energy that a set of solar panels were taking in on the roof. And the last project was a proposal I worked on recently with Strata and ClearStory. And this was kind of a meta interactive idea. The idea was that people could interact with their building. They would walk through this stairwell. There is a projection on the stairwell that shows this like generative forest, right? And the forest grows based on the efficiency of the building. If the building was being inefficient, if people were being inefficient, the forest would grow very sparsely, and vice versa. The idea is that people see this thing, they go back to their space, they change their behavior, and then the behavior of this animation also changes. So it's this feedback loop between people and the building. And so to wrap things up, this stuff is pervasive. This technology is everywhere, and we should all be using it. It is not expensive. We can put it into our buildings. We can design with it just as we design with all the other materials that we've been designing buildings with for the past hundreds of years. We add this to our repertoire. And just to end things, I think we are in a position now to take data out of our cell phones and put it back into our space, and that's a challenge that we should all try to address. So thank you very much.